T-minus just 4 days till the beginning of the 2024 New England Patriots football season. The tides of anticipation are swelling. Can you feel it, Pats people? See, that was the part where you guys were all supposed to be like, hell yeah. And then like it feels like the headphones are going to pop out of my ears. And Andy Hart's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. We're doing it. We're finally doing it. And today we're doing it live. Well, sort of. You'll see. Hey, folks, welcome back to the latest and always greatest edition of, that's right, Six Rings and Football Things, brought to you by your friends at Odyssey, WEEI, and 2400 Sports. We got a jam-packed midweek spectacular for you, as you should and would come to expect, with Fitzy Hart live on the mics today. We have our predictions for the upcoming 2024 season, record, rookies of the year, MVPs, busts, disappointments, and everything you would come to expect and need to hear from your old pals, Fitzy and Hart. We'll do a quick Pats parade to tidy up and do a nice little cleanup in aisle Patriots on all the other news, notes, nuggets, and rumblings that are going on in Pats Nation. And then at the end of the pod today, Andy sits down. Maybe he stands up. I don't know. It depends on how they feel like doing it.
Can you tell the difference? Oh,
Andy talks with our old pal, Mike Giardi from, what is it? What do you want? Do we say Boston Sports Journal, but do we also say, hi, Mike, we miss you, pal.
Yeah.
You can also chime in if you're watching live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. We have so many different ways, so many wonderful ways to consume the program. Giardi's with Boston Sports Journal, but do we say like from the Rich Shirtlieb show? Do we say from ZLX?
For now.
He's all over the place. Well, everything in the jeez, shots fired this early in the pod, Andy.
Hey, listen, I now live the uncertainty of the radio world. So, we're all standing on eggshells or, lily pads that are about to sink under the water. Who knows?
That's all right. Listen, you know, no fate but your own. You decide how this should go today and every day and in the afternoon. It's a lot of talking you got to do, my guy. If you thought you were sick and tired of the Patriots and the Boston media market audience at large before, we welcome you. And don't forget, folks, Sunday, live right after Patriots versus Bengals, the Six Rings and Football Things live postgame show on WEEI and WEEI.com, and a special bonus this season for all road games. Fitzy and Hart will come to you with a live, uncensored halftime show. That's right. 10 minutes of infuriated, frustration-filled, F-bomblet. Well, it depends on how the game goes. Whatever you guys want to say, we'll be there for you with a live halftime show. And, of course, the best post-game show in town, live on WEEI and all of our socials. All right. First question right out of the chute. Nicholas Calito, he's watching on Facebook. Are we making a Pat Suck IPA this year? Andy,
Yes.
Yes, we probably should. I have not collaborated with any of our fabulous local breweries on a beer for this upcoming season. Depending on how it starts and knowing how long it takes for IPAs to mature in the tank, if the Patriots are as bad as we think they might be or struggle the way we think,
How about a sour? One that makes you go.
one of those like a double puckerer.
Yes. Oh, yeah. A double puck. This is going to be a double pucking season.
Well, maybe we should also wait until Drake May finally takes over as QB1 of the NEP, because maybe we'll want to release two, like a sour for the start, but maybe something sweeter for the finish.
I like a sweet finish.
That's also what he said. And that is a perfect segue into segment one of today's Six Rings and Football Things. The 2024 New England Patriots season predictions, awards, and as it says on my show rundown, ETC period. I didn't know if he plays for the Patriots, etc., etc.
Here he's a left tackle. I hope he's a left tackle.
Honestly, I'll give him a try at this point.
Sure.
All right, let's go with so right now we're just going to do our predictions for the record of the Patriots, who we think will be the offensive and defensive MVPs, the biggest bust, the biggest surprise, and also let's get it officially and finally on the record when we think Drake May takes over.
In the record.
Yeah, in the record. Yes,
the record on the record.
The record on the record.
Right.
And also Drake, yes. And when Drake May takes over. Okay, so let's begin, Andy, with the Patriots record on the 2024 season. Now, I don't know if anyone needs us to run through the schedule. You guys have probably already looked over it time and time again. I would just like to remind everybody, Warren Sharp from @SharpFootball has done an updated NFL strength of schedule
Oh,
The 5 easiest schedules so far, Andy, as we kick off the season Thursday night and this coming Sunday: Falcons, Chargers, Bengals, Jets, Bears. I believe 4, if not all 5 of those teams are going to be playoff teams. However, I also believe, there we go. We've got more predictions right there. Nicholas Calito, 7 wins, 10 losses. All right, good to have you on the record, kid.
7?
The 5 hardest schedules, and I don't think yeah. Notice you didn't say that with the Joe Castiglione, 7!
Nope.
Or like
No.
the Joker, like, 7? You
7?
wanna walk that one back, guy? It's
Nope.
okay. It's the internet. No one
Now
loves
is
you.
the time to believe. Now, right now, as of Sunday, if you get kicked in the balls by Joe Burrow and company, it's going to be harder to argue 7. Now is the time. I say this every year. Now is the time when you're supposed to be overly optimistic and have hope. Now, I don't necessarily qualify for that, but this is the time where fans everywhere should be like, why not us? Why not now? Ooh, 5-12. We're dropping fast.
Marcus Hanna watching live right now on YouTube. I better hear 7 wins or else you'll be in my notebook. I don't want to make the list, Marcus. Jeez, I'm already on enough shit
Put me
lists
on
in
the
this
list in bold, caps, bold.
That's why we love you, kid. You're not afraid to make the list. The 5 hardest schedules in Warren Sharp's recalibrated 2024 NFL strength of schedule, based on his Vegas forecasted win totals: 28 Titans, 29 Browns, 30 Vikings, 31 Steelers, and coming in dead last with the hardest schedule in the NFL, your New England Patriots. Andy, to what do we owe the fate of the New England Patriots, the team that probably has the least talented roster, also having the most difficult schedule? Is this retribution and payback for how great and grand it was in Pat's Nation? Or is this just the way the cookie crumbles, the dice rolls, and, shit hits the fan?
Well, my old pal Paul Perillo used to always say that for significant periods of time, the Patriots as an organization had a lucky horseshoe up their ass, their collective ass. I think the horseshoe has been pooped out and gone. The lucky horseshoe is gone, because when you get last place games on your schedule that include Joe Burrow's Bengals and Justin Herbert's Chargers, it's just unlucky. And you happen to get the Bears, who have the best chance maybe at a Houston-like turnaround, worst to first kind of thing, best quarterback. So that's 3 games right there that sway the schedule in a more difficult direction than probably would be expected of a team that had the 3rd overall pick in the draft. So, yeah, there's a little bad luck right there. But if we're going to be honest, like, they're not very good. So, almost regardless of who they play, it's a tough schedule. Like, unless they played Carolina 17 straight weeks, they have a tough schedule.
Would you rather, New England Patriots fans, watch the Patriots play this schedule or the Carolina Panthers 17 straight weeks? 617-779.
Not a terrible question. Might have to pull it out late in a Thursday afternoon.
I was going to say, you might be hearing this tomorrow on WEEI's afternoon program. Baltimore Fats watching live on YouTube. My motto since 1980s has always been, they're winning them all till they ain't.
Ooh.
You may want to adjust that one till they're winning them all in my mind, because they probably ain't. But hey, to each his own. That's why we watch and they play the games.
They're losing them all because they're taint.
It's actually a pretty good that's a pretty good spin of phrase right there. Man, you got some Market 10 talent right there, fella. All right, the predictions are coming in live on the Facebook and YouTube for everyone who's watching live as we record this, of course, for our friends on the Six Rings podcast. Andy, let's just get it out right now. Each of us, our prediction for the record of your 2024 New England Patriots. I know you have flirted with 6 wins most. 0 wins has been on the table. We have called it the Heart-O-meter here on the Six Rings pod. But now I'm going to hold you to it. Feet to the fire, kid. What do you got?
Okay, so I do believe that 0 wins is in play, as much as people want to tell me I'm a moron for thinking 0 wins are in play, although the group supporting me has grown in recent weeks. I'm going to say 2-15, and then I'm going to duck as something comes through the computer to hit me. It is what it is. I think they're a bad football team with a tough schedule, and there's no. I think we went through it in a previous podcast where when I really stretched, I saw 7 quote unquote winnable games. That feels strong to me, and I just think in the end they're a team with very limited talent that will probably have more limited talent as the season rolls on because injuries happen. So 3-14, Jeff Stenberg, I think that's in play. 0-17 is in play, but I'll go 2-15 as the official Andy Hart schedule prediction.
Okay, our friend Jeff Stenberg, a regular here on the Six Rings live, 3-14. Congratulations, Will Campbell. You're a New England Patriot. Listen, I'll tell you, after the college, I know that's been Andy's pick, the left tackle of the future. There are some other tackles, linebackers, edge rushers that could enter the equation. Haven't heard a lot of quarterback talk for next year, which concerns me because if the Patriots are going to suck out loud and be a top 3 pick, I'm going to want them to trade it more likely than not so they can get more capital. And it concerns me on a daily basis with Drake May not starting. It's like, well, the Giants wanted to give you a brand new roster overall period. And you said no, only so we could start Jacoby Brissett. Let's hope that plan makes sense, Mr. Mayo. All right, so we've got 2-15 from Andy Hart. Okay,
let's go, Mr. Optimism. Let's go.
All right, you guys ready? Ladies and gentlemen, the New England Patriots will be the best darn 5-12 team in town this year. They will finish just over the Vegas win prediction total of 4.5. I'll see 5 wins on the season. I think they come out of September 1-3, and then all they got to do is get 4 wins between the start of October and early into 2025. Which games those wins will come in, I'm not entirely sure. I think they can win the Colts game. Maybe they can go 2-4 in their own division. Potluck later on. And if Drake May and some of the rookies are able to A, stay healthy, B, catch a little bit of fire, and C, play behind something that resembles a semi-consistent offensive line, I think 5 wins is possible. More importantly, though, as we've talked about time and again, we need to exit this season, A, with our quarterback of the future, B, some actual gosh darn playmakers on offense, and C, a football team overall that has not sold the farm, tossed away their cleats or their shoulder pads, Corey Dillon style, taken off their entire outfit and pulled an Antonio Brown and run through the end zone of the Meadowlands, waving goodbye to everyone come November. We need to see that this football team, thanks to the guidance and coaching of Mayo, AVP, Covington, and all, is actually ready to compete with reinforcements next season, Andy. Do you think that, more importantly than the 2-15 or the 5-12, do you think that is possible or on the table?
100%. I firmly believe we could be raving about Drake May, Christian Gonzalez, Demario Douglas, Jalen Polk. I think I'll even throw in Layden Robinson and Caden Wallace for people that are lusting maybe for a little offensive line hope. I think that is very possible that in a 2 through 5 win season, wherever it lands there, Warren Ladd, I see 2 to 3, hammer the under at 4.5, all of these things. In the midst of that, I do think we could come up. And if you add that group to a Kyle Duggar, a Jabril Peppers, some of, Ramondre Stevenson, Mike Onwenu, now all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, do we have like 10 or 12 starters that I really like? Are we cutting into the hole of talent on this roster and heading into a draft with a high pick? So yes, I think that is way more possible than winning 7 games.
All right, guys, come on. Let's be nice in the comments live. Mr. Stenberg, we cannot be saying that we wish injury or ill upon other people, no matter how much ayahuasca they consume, how many darkness retreats they take, or how many bizarre McAfee conversations and politically critical diatribes they go on. Let's just focus on our team and wishing no ill will on other teams.
Pretend you're a parent, because they always tell parents like you should only really cheer specifically about your own kid, like good or bad, like just otherwise it's like, good job, boys, good job, team, let's go, whatever your team is. Let's do that. Let's focus on the Patriots, pro and con. I'm fine if you want to shred the hell out of your team. They are your child. You are invested. Yes. You are tied to the Patriots. But let's just let the Jets and the Steelers steal and the Colts and all those other teams do whatever they do and be whatever they be.
Jeff Sincata watching live on the Book of Face. 3-14 is the reality, but at best 6-11, perhaps with some lucky games. Look, I when John Lyons filled in for you earlier in the summer, right here on Six Rings, we discussed how, a lot of times guys like the Bill Barnwells and your Warren Sharps, people that, adhere to the data, I think a little bit more than us, believe in the idea that like every year when you win a bunch of those games, no matter even the roster talent, sometimes there is a little bit of a pendulum swing. And last year, the Patriots lost how many games by 1 score or less? Like they were involved, like 7 or 8 games were games where they lost by a field goal to 6 points. So if a couple of those go back their way, now I know you have, there's no Judon last year. There was only Gonzalez for 3 games. You did have Barmore, which I think is still probably the most frustrating of all the losses roster-wise. Maybe, just maybe, a couple of them come back their way. All right, another prediction. Jess Dog, watching live on YouTube, she's got them at 5-12. All right, so Andy goes 2-15. I go 5-12. Let's get now to your prediction for offensive MVP, Andy.
I think the offensive MVP has to be Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's going to be the centerpiece of the offense. They have said early and often they want to lean on the running game, run the ball, play defense. They paid Ramondre Stevenson, gave him the extension early. I think all those signs point to him being a critical factor on this team. Now, obviously, the offensive line has some say in it. If they are absolute horse crap on the offensive line, it's going to be tough for Ramondre Stevenson to do his thing. But if they're horse crap from start to finish on the offensive line, well, quite honestly, it's going to be hard for anybody on offense to do their job. So I'll go Ramondre Stevenson winning your offensive MVP.
Believe it or not, I'm gonna go chalk on this one because you guys have turned me around and made me such a believer in the kid. I'm gonna go with Drake May.
Yes.
I think Drake May, by the time he gets into this game, by the time he gets in there, is he going to take his knocks? Yep. Is he going to have at least a handful, maybe not a bushel, but a handful of terrible interceptions and pick sixes where he scores points for the other team? You sure will. But is he going to show you some of those up the gut runs, some of those sidearm throws, some of those flashy laser guided darts down the field, making you guys feel alive, giving you those touchdown tingles once again? Look at Jalen Polk's hands. Oh my God, Baker actually caught that one. Hunter Henry, he is a serviceable mid-level waiver wire fantasy tight end. I love this team. And if Ramondre can stay healthy and you factor Antonio Gibson into the passing game like I have so desperately wanted them to for ages, I've already seen a little chemistry with Drake May and all of these cats. So I think he gets in there long enough, early enough to actually make enough of an impact where you say, this is my quarterback, but also this is my current MVP. So I'm going chalk for you on that one, Andy. And that's just not because you are maniac number one.
This is my quarterback. And sadly, this is my offensive line too.
Actually, you know what? Our pal Los from Los Talks Pats on Twitter, probably the finest of all the aggregators and curators of Patriots news. He says your offensive MVP, Andy, is somebody I thought you may have gone with, David Andrews. If he holds the line down and can play a whole healthy season, that's not a bad pick, Los.
No, I would say if you went most MIP, most important player, David Andrews would be the guy. I just think, it's hard if we're using like real world logic. When was the last time a center won an MVP award for a team? Probably never.
And or is there a word? I know they do this to start every preseason game. The first preseason game, it's a tradition that they put a special teams player, either the punter or the place kicker, on the cover of the game day program. Now, people always rush to social media and go, Jesus, look how hard times have fallen on Foxborough. They put the friggin' punter on the program. No, that's a tradition. But people still get their jokes in. However, if your center is your MVP, like, look, the Corey Linsleys of the world in prior days, now it's Powers Jackson or whoever the new awesome center is, Jason Kelce. You could possibly argue that maybe Jason Kelce was the MVP all those years.
He was the tush in the tush push.
Yeah. That's a good point. Here we go.
We're not doing Bryce Behringer. Don't put that on the screen. We're not voting the punter.
Yep. Nope. There it is. I have to.
Nope.
He's a regular. He's one of our fabulous and finest viewers. He's helping us grow the greatest legion of Patriots talk, analysis, and nonsense in all of New England and beyond. We already have our first MVP for Bryce Behringer. I love it. All right, let's go defensive MVP. Andy, you're up first.
I'm going to go with the newly minted captain. I'm going to go with Jabril Peppers.
You son of a bitch.
I like that he's healthy. I like the style he brings. I like that he's now a captain. I like his honesty. I like his physicality. I like everything about him, and I think he can be a factor. I know we talk about him as a box safety, but like that interception he had against, who the hell was that, where he drifted off into coverage? I don't know. But that interception he had last year, I think Jabril Peppers can be an impact guy in the run game, in the pass rush, and in the pass coverage, and in hurting people. And I like that. So if you're rooting for somebody to hurt Aaron Rodgers, I'm not saying we're allowed to do that. I'm just saying if you're rooting for somebody to hurt Aaron Rodgers, Jabril Peppers might be my guy.
If you remember last week, if you guys didn't get a chance to listen to it, I highly recommend you go back into the archives via the Odyssey app, Spotify, Apple Pods, however you consume your awesome football talk. Listen to the DMAC podcast because He loves him some Pep. They all call him Pep.
Got a little pep in his step.
To say the least.
You know what he does pregame?
What's that?
He gives pep talks.
All right. And once
when he
again,
hits somebody, it's called.
All right. I'll be muting Andy for 10 seconds on that. He's so mad. He's in black and white on my screen.
Now I got to say it again. When he hits somebody, it's a pep smear.
Oh, that's awful. That was super terrible. But that's okay. No one's listening. So, Devin McCourty talked about how also in the absence of players like himself, Matthew Slater retiring, the void of leadership, or rather, there was a deficit of Super Bowl winners and people that were around that were contributors or that wear rings from the double dynastic run. He said guys like Pep are the ones that you go to in the locker room, that you look to on the field, that are going to carry the water, that are going to carry the aggression, that are going to carry the tone and tempo for this team. And I couldn't agree more. I think this is the easiest pick because he does everything. He hits as hard as any of the defensive linemen. He's better in coverage than anticipated. Like I always like to say, he wakes up every morning and has a bowl of violence with whole milk for breakfast. And then he just gets out there. And it looks like, Andy, here's the thing. Even like he gave us the soundbite of the 2023 season last year. You lucky we ass. Also, working title for the podcast because 6 rings. I'm tired of hearing the jokes about, it's not going to be 7 rings anytime soon. Yeah, no shit, everybody.
It's true. That's why we named it that. We didn't have any concerns that it was going to change.
Exactly. We knew we'd be able to hold on to this IP for a while. He looks like he cares. Like he loves football so much. He takes such pride in individual plays, in every tackle, in forcing the issue on a regular basis, that you need guys like that. So I'm a big fan. Mark Woods, he's going with Gonzo.
I like the pick. And that would be probably best case scenario. What you did, if you get Drake May as your offensive MVP and you get Christian Gonzalez as your defensive MVP at the end of this season, it was a great season. It was a developmental, long-term home run win season. And I just want to see more from Gonzo. I just have my doubts. I think he's been anointed something that he might not really deserve just yet. And whereas Peppers, I love the evolution of Peppers coming off the injury, then last year, now leadership. I think Peppers is ready to peak in this team, in this defense. My one concern about Peppers is if it goes really bad and the internal vibe is bad, I think he could lose his crap on somebody. Like if somebody's not taking it seriously, like if Javon Baker, and I don't want to pile on the rookie, but let's just say
he did something extremely stupid. Right. Like I'm, as the leader of the Javon Baker Stand Up in Your Wheelchair fan club, I was extremely disappointed that he was immature enough to go on freaking Instagram Live and criticize the Mass State Police. Side note, they're the ones that make sure you get in and out of the stadium first, okay?
You think?
And they they do a real good job. They're super, like, I've always been complimentary to them. Andy, few things I love more than when I'm talking to people in the lots, crossing the crosswalk when they let the mass of us through, and I hear a couple of them yell out, Fitzy, how are we going to do this season? Fitzy, is today going to be watchable? And I have to try to like say something to keep a smile on there. But you be good to them, they'll be good to you. And for Baker to do that, it's a wrong way to start your freaking season, kid.
Dumbass move. But if others make dumbass moves behind the scenes, I think Peppers is a guy that could blow his top and have to, all of a sudden you're hearing like Jabril Peppers had to be pulled off of Javon Baker in the postgame locker room because the rookie was on Instagram Live or joking about the loss or something like that.
Andrew Pollock says Gonzo becomes defensive MVP. I like Jeff Stenberg's pick. I like Keon White. I miss when this team had guys that played angry. He's
Peppers. Hello.
Keon White has resting Belichick face. Like he's always angry, but he's composed. Just don't look for him to be the new Judon. He's going to be Dietrich Wise plus. Let him be who he's going to be.
I'm not sure he's plus. I think he needs to earn the right to be Dietrich Wise plus. Right now, he's Dietrich Wise backup.
Los talks Pats. Peppers and Duggar remind me of the meme where the boyfriend looks back at the girl that walked by. Duggar is being neglected and not being talked about enough as their best defender. Agree or disagree, Andy?
I'll disagree. Okay. I still think he's a liability in coverage, and other teams are going to be throwing the ball a lot, and that liability could be picked on by other teams.
And yet sometimes he comes through with that sweet pick six like he did against Derek Carr in Vegas against the Raiders. All right.
He caught the ball that was thrown right to him and not exactly making a play.
All right. Your pick, Andrew Hart for Patriots Rookie of the year. That covers both offense and defense. This just in, there's only one rookie on defense.
Well, I'm not going to pick
There's two.
Marcel Dial. Marcellus
Marcellus.
Dial.
What about the Zimenez?
That was a pick from Jonathan Jones yesterday as like a guy who could wow people, sort of an under the radar guy. But no, I'm going to go offense. I think chalk here. I think Jalen Polk is basically a starter. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities. If he stays healthy, I don't think it's crazy to think he could catch 50 plus balls in this offense. I think they're going to give him those chances. And he seems like he gets it. Now, I don't know where his career goes in terms of, number one receiver. Is he worth the pick? Is he explosive? Blah, blah, blah. Does he score touchdowns? But I think for this year, Jalen Polk is going to be the best rookie you have.
Mm-hmm. I love that pick as well. Now, I should probably say rookie of the year for Drake May, because I believe eventually Drake May makes enough of an impact that he's also going to be your offensive MVP. I'm going to throw it to somebody else just because that's a little too easy. So I'm actually going to go with, if some say that David Andrews should be in consideration for your offensive MVP, I'm going to say that I think your rookie of the year on this team is going to be Layden Robinson.
I love it.
I'm a big enough believer in how much they loved him, how strong he is. Like, there are players that have said they have seen him use his strength, and they said there's football strong, and then there's Layden Robinson strong. This kid is big and nasty. He's going to need a little time. He needs City So to run into him a little bit less. He needs continuity on the line. But I think absolutely there is reason to believe that Layden Robinson could be your rookie of the year. Because if you get a mean, nasty guard, don't call him Mankins like, let him be who he is. If we get Shaq Mason-esque play, then that's going to be a massive plus for one of the most troubled spots on this Patriots roster, Andy.
Sure. No, I think he's going to get the opportunity to play a lot, and he almost may benefit if there's crappy play around him and people be like, the rookie's not that bad. He's doing a great job as a rookie. I'm looking forward to the future. He may benefit from low expectations and low performances around him.
All right. Your biggest surprise overall, Andy. It could be anything resembling the record, a player, an outcome, a game. Just throw something at me and the Pats audience at large that's going to make us say, wait, I'm sorry, what?
So this is where I'm going to go with my guy. I think in week 5, when Drake May takes over the starting job against the Miami Dolphins, I think Drake May is going to be more cautious with the football or more aware of mistakes than people are expecting. Will there be a pick six? Maybe. But I see a guy that is improved in that area and will continue to improve in that area watching Jacoby Brissett for the first month. So I think the biggest surprise is going to be all these people that said, Drake May's the biggest project of anybody in the draft, and he needs to sit for 2 years, Dan Orlovsky, and you can't put him out there until X, Y, and Z. I think Drake May is going to look like a truly competent, capable, professional quarterback with a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio right out the gates, despite a crappy offensive line, despite all the questions around him. Drake May is going to stun people, not with just his playmaking, because I think people have come to see that and accept that he can make some plays. He's not going to make the mistakes that a lot of people are projecting when he gets in there in week 5.
I like it, and I like it a lot. I agree. I don't think he's going to go out there and look like he's scared. I'm scared, and He doesn't belong, and that the moment is too big for him, and the Patriots whiffed, and they should have taken the capital offered by the Giants. I agree. I think he'll look the part, and he's going to be pro ready. This is not a homer pick. This is more a belief that the Patriots are going to read every clipping, like the one at NFL.com, where they had all the possible division winners, playoff teams. Only 3 teams got 0 mentions for all of those variables and permutations: the Colts, the Giants, and the Patriots. No playoff whiff, no chance to win a division, nothing. The rest of the world is picking them as having the top pick in the draft next year. Everyone says this team sucks, and it sucks out loud. They are going to funnel and channel all of that into their gameplay over at least the first half of the season, or at least until Drake. They'll do the best they can emotionally and physically until May comes in and brings in, I'll call it the emotional reinforcements, Andy. My biggest surprise is that the Patriots do not get blown out in any game in September. I think they'll be at least in, and they'll hold their ground in all these games. More than 10 points. I think the Patriots will be in.
Chance.
You will be watching all of these games. Now, what's the game
I have
of
to.
those?
They pay me.
What's the game? I know, same here. And sometimes I even have to talk about it in front of the people and tell them funny things. That doesn't work out very well.
Nope.
So to Andy, which game do you believe is the one where they have the least amount of chance to stay in the game or not lose by 10?
San
Frisco,
Francisco.
Jeff, San Francisco.
San Francisco. Okay. Now I think there's 3 of them, quite honestly. I think there's a chance they get blown out in Cincy. There's a chance they get blown out by Aaron Rodgers' Jets. But the best chance they get blown out is in San Francisco. That's why you'll see Drake May in the fourth quarter as he, rolls right into his first start the next week.
All right. TD watching live on YouTube. The biggest surprise is AVP. Numerous times fired and gets hired by Wolf instead of Mayo and will not last a year. What?
You're going to fire the offensive coordinator?
In season?
I don't think that happens. I don't think there's any shot of that happening.
Oh.
But it's a good, it's a surprise. It's a,
Wow. How about that? Jeez. AVP fired in season. Like, I just need him to groom the quarterback. I'm not worried about having the greatest show on turf. I don't think the Patriots are anything near or resembling that right now. But all right, Andy, your biggest bust.
I think it's going to be Javon Baker. I think he's going down bust boulevard. I think he's put his blinker on. He hasn't really turned down there. I think you're seeing some of the questions that surrounded him coming out of college are going to follow him. He clearly has some emotional maturity issues, let's just say. And not to mention the drop, the Drake May, like the hands aren't great from what I've seen. He doesn't necessarily have that step up to the moment, even on the practice field ability. And I think a lot of people have high hopes, you included, for Javon Baker to maybe be like a future number 1 receiver, or like this crazy, maybe you got something, maybe you got a diamond in the mid-round rough. I don't think it's a diamond. I think it's like a piece of poop that got kind of solidified in the sun as reflective. I just don't think it's going to go very well with him.
Because it's not contractual, but I feel like I committed to being so excited for him and about them selecting him way back in April that I can't quite say it, but I'm not going to disagree out loud or put up the biggest stink because he's doing a number of things to already be set and hurt his chances. I think your biggest, so I see it, but I just can't yes and it. That said, I think there's a chance that the biggest bust on this team is not actually a bust. It's just that there's too much hype that he can't live up to in his second season because really it's an extended rookie season for him. I can't see them finishing the season with Christian Gonzalez being a top 3 cornerback in the NFL. Let the kid just be who he is. Again, he's not going to be a bust.
I agree.
It's just too much hype around him. Like, you don't, like somebody just mentioned in the comments, like, whoa, Patrick Surtain II just got paid. Yeah, because guess what? He's been healthy every season. Unlike the J.C. Horns and other cornerbacks that came out in his draft, he is really good, and he has ascended into top 5 cornerback in the league. Thus, he deserves to be paid like one. Christian Gonzalez, I would almost rather see him hold his ground, not struggle, but, if he has a tough season, but we see that he took his nicks and dings and stayed in for a whole season, and then he's really awesome next year, I'm okay with that. But, folks, let's pump the brakes on putting him in a freaking yellow jacket and having a bronze bust of his beautiful face already in Canton, all right?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a perceived bust. You're right. And it's not his fault. He's going to have a decent season. It's that everybody put the expectation, set the bar way too high for a guy who's played 3.5 games in the NFL uniform.
Yep. Oh, see, here's a good pick. I don't even know if he's done enough to merit it. Jay Miller watching live on YouTube. KJ Osborne.
Does
what do you have any expectation? Yeah.
He's kind of just a middling journeyman receiver. I know they gave him a little bit of money, but truly a little bit of money. He's a veteran guy. I think he'll probably play enough to not be a bust, but won't make enough plays to wow anybody.
And finally, Andy, before we wrap up our predictions awards and what such here on Six Rings, when will Drake May get his first start as an NFL quarterback in the National Football League for your New England Patriots?
Week 5 against the Dolphins at home. I've circled that since basically May, and I continue to circle that. I'm a little worried that it could go further than that and be delayed a little bit from sort of rumblings and things I've kind of heard, but I'm not giving up on that. I am still hopeful that week 5. I mean, still kind of hopeful that week 2 is in play, but I don't think that's as likely at this point. So I think week 5.
Will we see him in the fourth quarter this Sunday?
For
what they call a little MUD, mop-up duty.
No, because I don't think the Bengals, without Jamar Chase or even with Jamar Chase, I told you earlier, my bet of the year is, if you could find this on any weird sports book anywhere, that either Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, or CeeDee Lamb will pull a hamstring this season. To me, it's a lock of all locks, likely in the first month, maybe in the first 2 weeks. But Jamar Chase's situation, the Joe Burrow wrist situation, I just don't think the Bengals are ready in week 1 to necessarily just absolutely obliterate you. So you might be down like, I don't know, 27-3, 27-10, 31. And I just feel like they'll be like, yeah, Jacoby's doing fine and he needs the reps. He's the starting quarterback. We're not starting the Drake May train just yet.
I don't want that to be our reality this Sunday. I want that to be a reasonably competitive game. I don't even need Brissett to play that well. I just want to see the line hold their ground, a couple nice runs from Ramondre, a few big hits from Pep. Yeah, and there's a chance the line, and we'll do our official game preview tomorrow, or rather by week's end, you'll hear a 6 rings, Patriots versus Bengals prediction as well, and preview, as well as I'm going to hop on and do an appearance with our friends on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati, and we'll hear what the Bengals fans are saying about the Patriots and what's going on out in the Queen City. All right, that wraps up our awards, our predictions, the Drake Mays, and everything else that goes into the 2024 season. What do you guys say? Who's going to be your MVP? When do you think Drake May is going to start? And what do you have for a record? You guys have been great as we've been doing this live. Fire your comments at us anytime at 6 Rings Pod, at Jumbo Hart, and of course at Fitzy GFY. Don't go anywhere. We've got a quick Pat's Paris, and of course Andy's conversation with Mike Giardi from Gillette Stadium coming up. All right, Andy, let's move into segment 2 here on the 6 Rings of Football Things midweek, getting ready for week 1 in the NFL. Let's just tidy up a couple things that have been going on recently in Pat's Nation. I want you to react to this. So there's been so much made of Jerod Mayo, and is he in charge? Is he making the decisions himself? He said when announcing Jacoby Brissett that they were sticking to the plan, not the competition. I have decided, like, it's been a mixed, muddled mess. There have been so many mixed messages. So I just want to share this clip of Mayo on the Greg Hill show earlier this week, talking about who's in charge, and trying to set the record straight as to exactly how much control he has.
I have the final say with all of that stuff. I do value the opinions of others, and you know, Elliott's opinion is definitely valued, but as a head coach, you know, I have the final say. Staying with the quarterback, like from the time we signed Jacoby and drafted Drake, we've had a plan on how to best develop Drake, and we're going to stick to that no matter what happens, no matter, you know, what's being said on the outside. Like, we're going to stick to the plan, and it may not be the most popular plan, but it's the plan that I think is best for the team.
Okay, wouldn't that have been nice to have heard 6 days, 6 weeks, or 6 months ago?
Yeah, I thought Jerod Mayo's meeting with the Greg Hill show this week was his best meeting with any media since he took the job. I think if he had said those types of things for the bulk of the offseason from January through now, we would have had a lot less to talk about. It would have been a much smoother offseason. He would have had to clean up less messes and little brush fires. I thought he was phenomenal on Monday, Mayo Monday, on the Greg Hill show. And yeah, like, you don't have to like it or even agree with it, but there was a certain credibility in his comments this week, credibility in the plan. We're sticking with it. It doesn't have to be popular. You don't have to like it, but it's what we think is best. I make the decision. I thought he nailed the hell out of that Monday, and maybe he's learning. Maybe that's a sign of things to come and how he's going to handle himself, even at Gillette Stadium, his first big Wednesday press conference of a game week leading into Bengals. Now, to be fair, this came one day after a terrible hiccup in which he forgot to name Jacoby Brissett a captain when he was listing off the captains. So I'm not willing to say everything is perfect here, nothing to see here, kind of Chef Barbary on South Park kind of thing. But he had one really good one. So let's build, they say, stack days together on the practice field. He needs to stack meetings with the media together, because this was a good one and he can learn from his mistakes and be better moving forward.
Exactly. I just want some consistency in the messaging. That's all. Now we have established Jacoby is your starter. We know who the captains are. They have the most difficult schedule in the NFL, according to most analytics. I just want straight messaging now. It's going to be so hard, though, for a rookie head coach who's taking over for the greatest head coach of all time, who is forced to do things differently, who probably from ownership and many edicts in the building, has to try to maintain more positive vibes and do things in a drastic difference from Bill Belichick, who we'll get to in just a moment, because, man, that guy is everywhere and he just won't stop talking all of a sudden. You know, it's not fair for a rookie head coach in a lot of ways to now have to not only just try and establish himself, but also answer constant questions about who's starting. Why is this guy starting? When will we see the other kid? Like, are the other rookie head coaches, the Mike McDonalds, the Callahans, are these guys, even Dan Quinn in Washington? I mean, he's named his starter. He's going with Jaden Daniels. So I guess no one's going to be like, when are we going to see Marcus Mariota? Nobody cares about that stuff as much. I mean, this is a lot on Mayo's plate. And I think you're right that appearance on the Greg Hill show and EEI was a big deal for him.
Yeah. Now he just needs to be consistent moving forward, because we can forget easily about the offseason if he does a good job moving forward. And hell, if they're competitive and maybe even win a game or something in the first 4 or 5.
Speaking of Bill Belichick, Andy, holy smokes. I mean, is there anywhere that you can't hear all of a sudden you couldn't get shit out of him about anything, even and or including regular praise for the greatest football player of all time? I mean, we're not talking about open heart surgery. As Tom Brady's thumb was practically falling off in the AFC Championship against the Jaguars, and he led one of the greatest fourth quarter comebacks in franchise history. Wouldn't give you anything. Yeah, just snots and sneers for decades. And now all of a sudden, he's everywhere. But tell me your level of surprise when you saw this first snippet from the new Coach series on Underdog Fantasy. Full disclosure, #partner, #ad. Well, that's really not an ad, but I help promote them. Anyway, when you saw the new Coach series on Underdog Fantasy, what did you say when you saw who his new co-host was?
We signed a lot of the players that we had, brought there and had there, as they obviously liked those guys. And then, a couple players that they didn't re-sign.
Well, Bourne, a re-signing, Onwenu re-signing. Stevenson had a year to go. They extended him. Henry was a re-signing. He's been a solid leader for him. Gottschall, they did, during training camp. Barmore was an extension in the offseason. He doesn't look like he's going to play very much this year. Tavai is an extension. Duggar was a transition player. And Josh Uche. The guy that's not on that list, of course, is Matt Judon.
Yeah, I was stunned. It was like, I said this on the radio yesterday, like a movie where you don't expect a cameo or a certain person. You're like, oh my God, that's like tremendous. Yeah, but should we be surprised? I mean, he's Belichick's right-hand man. He's out of the NFL. He's unemployed. It's probably not surprising that Bill found a role for him. And it's not just this underdog thing. He's apparently doing some stuff with the 33rd team. Both of them, Patricia and Belichick, as consultants or helpers.
He cannot have another job. Okay. The pecking order, Bill Belichick has to be, everyone's like, he's the GOAT coach. Is he the GOAT of guys picking up jobs after their coaching career, or when they've had to hit pause in coaching and they're looking for reputation rehabilitation?
The preacher's daughter. He didn't get to bang anybody. Now he's banging everything.
He's on The Breakdown on ESPN on Fridays with Peyton Manning, where they preview Monday Night Football. Then on Mondays, he's on the McAfee show. Then he does the Manning cast, all 11 games they're going to do regular season. He's the new co-host of the Let's Go podcast with Max Crosby and Jim Gray, brought to you by Macy's. Now he's doing the coach thing, and he's also on Inside the NFL on Friday nights with Chris Long, Ocho Cinco, and Ryan Clark. And now you're telling me he's also going to add consulting to the 33rd team? Yeah. To what's his name?
The 32 teams don't want him, so he said the 33rd team will take me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Hart. Even Greg Donahue thought that was funny. Huh? Good one.
My flip of this is
everywhere.
I really don't care. Like, if we're gonna get what we saw from that clip that you played, he read the transaction sheet, and not even in an entertaining way. He didn't even take a shot at himself. They tried to take a victory lap. Something they couldn't do together as coaches recently is take victory laps. They're like, they re-signed a lot of players that we brought in here, so clearly they liked those players. Like, all right, Matt, you did a great job collecting talent. That's why this team won 4 games last year and is going to win less than that this year. And not even like a self-deprecating, like, well, they cut Devontae Parker, who, Matt, you wanted to trade for. You told me to trade for him from the Dolphins. They're like, that, if there was any of that, I'm glued to it. I'm watching it. I'm enjoying it. So far from what I've seen, it's dry as that free cornbread you get at some restaurants, and you're like, this is now I need a beer. Give me my beer. I'm choking on dry cornbread.
I want the mini cornbread loaves that are like moist, have a little honey on top, and they go great with an ice cold beer, and they come with the honey butter that's salty and like that's what I want. I want back and forth. Give me Statler and Waldorf pissing and moaning about the NFL and busting each other's chops. I don't need to hear Bill Belichick just, analyzing stuff and saying the same thing you probably hear me say in 17 other portals and outlets. Like I can't believe this. The season kicks off Thursday night in Kansas City, and for Patriots fans, Sunday at 1:00 Eastern in the Queen City. I think I've already reached peak analytical Belichick, and it's not even football time.
Carlos, this is a great point that no one's paying attention to. Pop that on the screen if you can, Fitzy, the Carlos comment. I don't know if people are aware, the Hall of Fame selection committee and the Hall of Fame have changed their rules. Coaches no longer have to sit out 5 years to go in the Hall of Fame. So Bill Belichick will be assuming he doesn't return to the sideline this year, he will be a candidate for Canton next August. He could be. And I mean, if he's a candidate on the ballot, I think he has to be. If he hasn't taken a head coaching job by then, I think he's a lock to go in on the first ballot. So yes. And then if he goes in, if he returns, he could be an active Hall of Fame coach. But yeah, I don't know if people are aware that next summer, if Bill wants to be, he could be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Now, see, that raises the question, will Bill Belichick like the money that comes with this, the schedule he maintains in this new, more relaxed life where people idolize him for his intellect, acumen, and experience, but he doesn't have to grind out 18-hour days, and then he gets sent to the Hall of Fame next year? Could that prohibit him from wanting to rush back to the sidelines anytime soon? I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, no, I do. And some of that is just, does he like it? If he likes this and enjoys the freedom, and we all know the certain freedoms he's taken full advantage of in his private life, and I'm talking about fires and Nantucket and things of that nature, anything anybody else might be talking about, he might just enjoy it, the relaxation. I watched Josh McDaniels on the Edelman podcast. He's skinnier, youthful looking. It's like, oh yeah, you get away from coaching. It really does help your overall health.
Yeah, he looked fantastic and sounded terrific. Well, listen, we've covered just about all the ground we need to. You heard about the Javon Baker thing. Captains, my captains. The Patriots announced their captains. I believe it was. Let's see. You had Dietrich Wise once again, David Andrews, Jacoby Brissett, Jabril Peppers. No surprises in there, right?
No, I mean, there's other guys that could have been candidates. Like, it wouldn't have surprised me if, say, Duggar was a captain, or Jonathan Jones was a captain, but that you also, Joe Cardona is the special teams captain.
Of course, that
could have been Schooler if you wanted to go in a different direction and just sort of fill the role held by Matthew Slater for so long. We're not saying that.
you can read it, people, but we're not saying we're not.
I also believe she's 24. Let's get it right.
Okay. Yep. She's literally 1/3 of his age, but he has to pay to rent the car. So that we kind of covered a little bit everything in the most relevant points with the previous coach and of course the current coach as well. Like I promised you, we're going to have a quick conversation between Andy and Mike Giardi to wrap up this fabulous midweek edition of Six Rings and Football Things. The next time you hear us, we will give you our official Cincinnati prediction and preview, as well as chat with our friends in Cincinnati on our Odyssey sister podcast. It's always game day in Cincinnati. And hey, you never know, there could be some other bonuses leading up to Sunday. Once again, we'll have a live halftime show, and we want you guys to be a part of it. It's BYOB, as always, and unfiltered, so that'll make it extra fun. And then live on WEEI after the game, the Six Rings and Football Things post-game show with Fitzy Hart. Great job, Andy, as always. Make sure you guys tune in each and every day to the WEEI afternoon show, where our guy is making us proud 4 hours a time. He and Arcan doing work and doing it well. And hey, if you need to find me, there's a good chance I'll be at a brewery somewhere in the afternoon. Your old pal, Nick Fitzy Stevens at FitzyGFY. Good day. God bless everyone. Thanks for tuning in, watching live, and being a part of the best Patriots fan community in the land. And now to wrap up this fabulous podcast, we throw it to Andy and Mike Giardi.